Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on Inneo Genius Tools. My name is Nick Exposito. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Tristar, and I'm very pleased to introduce our presenters, George Winninghoff, Customer Success Manager, and Ike Hauptmann, Lead Software Engineer at Inneo Solutions. Before we get started, I want to do some quick bookkeeping and mention that a complimentary recording of this webinar will be sent to everyone who registered, as well as it'll be available on our website and YouTube channel shortly after the presentation. If you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to leave them in chat. We'll also try to hold a brief Q&A at the end. But before I pass it over to our awesome presenters, I just want to briefly go over what Tristar is and what we do here. At Tristar, we specialize in helping manufacturer companies adopt systems and processes to better enable and allow you to create more efficient products in a more efficient product development environment. We achieve this by being the largest value-added reseller for PTC products and services worldwide, with headquarters in Phoenix, Arizona, and representatives and engineers throughout North America. Throughout North America. We've been in business for over 25 years, and we're experts in CAD, data management, PLM, and product development. We also have a large assortment of custom solutions, services, and support packages tailored to specific requirements and needs. So now that that is out of the way, I'll give you guys the good stuff and hand it over to George. And so he can take it away.
Okay, so I just want to jump in my PowerPoint. I hope you all see that. So I hear nothing, so yep. I expect
yeah, it looks good here, guys.
So welcome to our common webinar together with Tristar and Inneo. We want to show you something about our Genius tools, especially for the startups tools for Creo. We'll explain it a little bit deeper in the following slides. We will take about 45 minutes. This is so far our plan. This is Ike, is head of the development, and we'll show you how the startup tools are working in a live demo. And I myself, I'm responsible for the whole worldwide channel sales here for the Genius tools. Yeah, it works. So far, the agenda, I want to give you a short introduction of Inneo, who we are and what is our experience. Why do we invented these Genius tools? And very important, it is a certain structure about the Genius tools modules, and I will give you an overview. Then Ike will jump into a live demo, and I'm sure this is the main part for today. Be excited for that. And at least if you're interested, how get we in touch together that you get more information and so on. So Inneo, in some figures, Inneo is one of the largest PTC reseller, and we have a lot of partners to offer our customers a complete solution for product development. I think there are two numbers which are very important for these Genius tools. These are the 20,000 projects with about more than 6,000 customers. This means we have a lot of experience in the PTC product and also in our market. Our market is mainly Germany. We have some sites here, some locations in Germany, but also in Switzerland and in the UK. We are working together with several partners worldwide to deliver these Genius tools. For the US market, it is Tristar. So, but why do these Genius tools exist? Yeah, you have this Creo here. Creo, we also have that for Windchill, and it is a good CAD tool, but as we all know, it is not 100% and it doesn't fit 100% to the customer's requirements. So we made some best practices, and the customers had a lot of ideas, and at the end we all want to become more efficient. Yeah, And we started with some small programs to fill these gaps in Creo to make it more usability or to get more efficient work in Creo. So this starts over 25 years ago, and meanwhile we have over 15 developers leaded by Eike. And yeah, it becomes more and more. We created more and more such of these tools, and at the end we saw that it's a complete product suite, and we call it Genius Tools. This is my picture. In the middle you have this table saw. This stands for Creo, but we need more additional tools around that to become more precise, to produce faster our products. Yeah? So we can buy additional tools to work in a better way, faster, more efficient, and much better than only with the Creo. And yeah, what is these Genius tools and the different modules? On the left side, we have all the Creo-related modules, and on the right side, we have all the Windchill-related modules. And here at the bottom, we have functionality. We include it in different modules you can buy. Here in this middle area, here in this middle row, you see all the modules you can buy. Yeah, parameters, library starter, or these tools, or Windchill tools. And then we have packages. We made some packages for you to make a better price, yeah, at least. So, and what we are talking today for today is these startup tools, especially for this Creo side. And we have these 3 modules in these packages we are talking about today, all the things which are included in the startup tools, short SUT. The red arrows are what is included in what module or in which package. Yeah, this is our structure. And now I want to give you a short introduction about parameter, library, and starter, what is behind that. So in Creo, you're working with a lot of parameters, and to handle in Creo Native is not so easy. So we have this Creo Genius Tools parameter tool to handle it in a much better, more efficient way, so that your work becomes much more easier as a Creo admin, for example. And yeah, the target is, for example, make classified parts, assemblies, and so on. And they are all this in the same way, each and everywhere. So that makes much more safer to work with these parts and drawings and so on. Yeah, and of course the position numbers of Windchill also come with in your BOM and so on. The library is a complete library management based on these parameters. You can search and find based on these parameters. And so at the end, you can have a search something like Google. Yeah, it is so fast that every user, I'm sure, will use this library, and that makes all your following process much more safer, because the users can rely on the quality of the library. It is 100% perfect. Yeah. And what is the starter? Perhaps you're working in different Creo environment. Here, for example, we have a Creo 4.0 or 7.0. Perhaps you have to work for different customers in different environments. You have different configurations and also different licenses you need for your work. And that also means that you don't need all your license every time. So you can save much money. If you're working with the startup tools, you book only the licenses you need for your work. Yeah. At the end, it is very sure, yeah, that you're working in the specific environment without thinking about that. Just a click on it and you're working on it. Next, I want to talk a little bit about that is the standard parts. They're included in the complete package startup tools. Creo invented a lot of standards, yeah, hundreds of different standards. This list is not the parts inside, these are the standards we offer to you. It is not only parts, it's UDFs, sketches, and so on, yeah. So you get all these bolts and washers and nuts and so on included in the standard, in the startup tools. This means you have no more work with these standards. Yeah. And last but not least, we have these utilities. There are older ones, there are newer ones inside. They are small. These are a bunch of small tools that helps the CAD users to work more efficient, more nice, more smarter in their daily life. Yeah, so far my short overview. Eike will show you this live. Yeah, I think this is much more exciting. And Eike, now it's your turn.
Hopefully. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, sure.
perfect. I'm start to share my screen and show you some of these tools live and also explain what they are doing. If you have any questions, please feel free to directly interrupt me or write into the chat so Nick can read that and give me a hint on that. That makes it much easier and fluent if we directly can talk about the questions that you have. Okay, so let me try to share my screen. Hopefully it works. Okay, so I see my screen and a massive. So great. Okay, so this one is Genius Tool Starter. Every one of you, or most, I think, have startup scripts like batch files, something like that, have small self-written applications that help you to start up your Creo on every seat inside your complete company the same way. But yes, not exactly the same way, because you know there are many different small things that people can decide if they want to start with an AAX license or without an AAX license. If they have special applications like toolkit applications that they want to start or don't want to start. Also, you don't have a license for everyone. So that means that you need to check that if there's a free license available right now or not. So people can decide what they want to start up. And then we've got administrators. They need multiple Creo versions at the same time, but not every user needs that. Most users should work with the standard Creo version, else we can't use the files afterwards inside of our company. So that would be a very, very good idea to do that. And then everyone can check that into our Windchill, and that's perfect. But also that is difficult because you need to register it to the Windchill. Also, there are some batch scripts that can do that. It's sometimes changed in the past that the batch scripts need to be managed and changed too. I've got not only one Windchill server, I got also a second one for testing. So I need to decide which Windchill server I want to connect, and also my admins inside of my company need to do that. So that would be cool if there's an easy way. And hopefully, Genius Tool Starter is this easy way to do that. So I simply can decide where I'm sitting around. Right now, I can say, okay, I'll sit in the US, Asia, or US. Afterwards, I can give in my current location or my office or my department. That here is completely free, definable how you want to make that. I now say, okay, I'm sitting in Leipzig. It's the same that I have chosen before, so I can't change. I can now change to Augsburg if I want to, but I have some other configurations inside of that. All of these is called units. So I can decide in which unit I want to work, and that allows me to have different configurations behind that. And all these units have different rights. So I can say, okay, only the users that are working directly in the US are allowed to enter the US department because I have a specialized Windows server there that makes something like warfare technology, and so therefore no one else from outside should have the possibility to have access to this Windows server and also shouldn't know the address or directly start with it. So I can define that as the cat administrator or the group of cat administrators. So to make it a little bit easier, that's not based on some XML files in the background. It's a complete configurator where I can click that together. So if we now go over and say, oh, yes, I need someone in the US, I can click here on US, create some new departments, can make my own unit types, can directly type it in if I want to make a new one, new unit type, not with a colon, so looks better. And then we name that New York. Okay, who should be able to access that? Everyone should be able to access that. So I simply click on OK. It now gets added to my unit tree, and I can pull it down to the US. So it's simply as here. Okay, I say save that. Great. So it's saved. And afterwards, it automatically reloads the app on my server or on my computer. And now I can choose also that if I go here to US, I can choose New York. Great. In the background, I now can put every configuration brick inside of New York, inside of US, inside of EU. I simply put it into it and it gets automatically put together to build up my complete projects that I see here. So now I can create projects that have configuration bricks based on the units that I have chosen. But where can I add the projects? Sure, I can add some projects. It's down here. I can add some projects. Like in my case, I'm a developer, so I have lots of different Creo versions on my machine. I simply put all my Creo versions into it, but in normal case, I only stored these two. So I simply make a filter on that and put it together. That's easy because I'm the admin on my own machine. That makes it easy. On the user side, so if I'm not the admin, they got favorites and can say, okay, that is a favorite project I want to start often. So they can create their own lists, their own favorite lists where they can start up, and they can also reconfigure the complete project and make their special custom built projects out of that. That gets automatically updated and ruled over by me as an administrator. So we look later on what we can do here. That is a huge thing because you need to manage all these rights. You can define what should be your endpoint that you want to use. Should it be a user list that you have simple typed in? That's cool for if you have 20 people inside of your company, but afterwards you don't want to type it in anymore. So you go over and say, okay, I want to use an LDAP solution, or I want to authenticate against my Windchill, or I have my own authenticator that I want to use. So you can simply define that and use an own authentication method where you do your authentication against. Could be an SSO login or whatever. So if I now go inside of one of these projects, here are my developing projects, so that's much more. If I go into that, I have simple topics here that I can click and select and deselect, and I can select the language where I want to start from, and I can get more information. Also, all of these tools here, I can hide. If I don't want that as an administrator, that my users can do that, I can say, nope, you don't have the rights to it, and they never see it. Okay, so I got the information, and we've got here the licenses. Sometimes I need to check the licenses if licenses are available. So I simply can say, okay, check that again my servers. Oh, SFV Leipzig LIC is not available at the moment, but my own server is available. That's great. Here are the licenses that are available, what is used from that, how many are there, what can I use. Is everything startable? Yes, with this license server it is. Okay, double click and I can start it. Sometimes I'm interested which configurations I'm loading. So it's not only the ones that I see here that can be used. That is the ones that the administrator have said, yeah, this should be used. There should be your configurations. but in the background there could be much more that can be used although. So simply I can double click on that as an administrator, and there's an editor in the background that can be used to directly edit it. And it's not a standard editor by text and a little bit of syntax highlighting. You got also all the things like auto fill up, I don't know, auto completion of words. So if I go here to a pro something, pro spool here, sometimes I've got yes, no things, or here, there's one with a y-axis. So I want to change that. I go into it and I directly get the information, what is available. So I can simply say, okay, I want to use y-axis, and then it say, oh yeah, but that what you have chosen, that is the standard value. Here's standard word, so that's German. Let us change that to English. So default value. So okay, but that changes by every main version that I have. So I can download all these main versions. In my case, now I have the 10.0 and the 11.0. But we have also the possibilities to get all the older versions. If I go down here, I can say, okay, I want to be also the 9.0 should be available. It automatically downloads the database, checks that everything gets up to date and is up to date next time I use it. And then I can define the major version or the main version as a sub version that I want to check against, and it automatically rechecks the complete file, make all the syntax highlighting new. It checks if it's default value, it checks for errors inside of the values. So if something is not possible, it checks for double set values so that I'm a little bit more informed what happens in my config.pro. Sometimes, that's not so often, sometimes I need an update. So I say, okay, I am at the 9.0, I'm at a 9.02, and I want to update to the 11.01, so newest version. And then here's a small tool just for administrators. I can click on compare and I get the information, okay, which of the values have changed and what should I think of if it makes sense or not, if the defaults have changed, if it changed from, in this case, it changed from an int over to a double value. So that's make it a little bit more, but also then it's much less than I need to check if I directly look on everything. So that makes it a little bit shorter. Mostly it shouldn't be that way. That's only because PTC sometimes don't like to bring the complete list out. So that looks much more like the list that I want to have. Then the complete formation is the same. So I know, okay, allow, apply, cross section now changes from yes in the 9.04 over to now be a hidden value inside of the 11.0, but it's available. I can use it. It's not supported but I can use it if I need it. And also the same things for standard display access, stuff like that. If I know that, I can change that inside of my config file, and I know what I need to work with. That makes it much easier to work with it. And many people don't change from a 10.01 to a 10.02, where you get all these informations. Most people are changing from a 7.0 to a 10.0, and so there's much more information in the background that I need to think of. We also got a batch mode here for the rework of your config.pro files if you need it. So if you have set fixed path and stuff like that, but you want to be able to down synchronize from your current server down to a complete variable path on a client, then you can say, okay, I want to replace automatically fixed path against variables that I can use to start up with. After we have all the configurations, we have some project options that are the same that we see here too. We have a backup possibility for your customization.ui. So sometimes you want to go back, especially as an administrator, to the standard configuration so you can make an admin UI and afterwards play it out. So this would be an easy way. You simply click on save and save your customization UI, start your Creo, manipulate whatever you want, copy your customization UI as an admin UI, and then there's a button to get it back. Here you simply click on restore and it asks, okay, do you want to delete it? Yes, and then it's back again. And the thing that I have mentioned before, if you have changed options inside of the project that could be also available for the users if you want to, you can give that a name and save that as your only special topic or your only special project that you want to start up every day. So you don't have to select that every time. With the last version, we also bring in a little bit of multicad. So we now have the possibility to start AutoCAD projects, SolidWorks, Inventor, also build together these config files the same way we do here. So if I got these information and if I create these configuration bricks, I could also manage that simply by click it together like I can do that in Creo. So would be possible. I can also put in more things like the current guidelines or my most important websites like the intranet website, stuff like that, the current working standards that people should use and all that kind of stuff could be put into this. The complete tool can get managed by you as an administrator and gets down synced a little bit like Dropbox to the client. So also, if I now make changes on a server, it gets automatically down synced to the client. And at the moment, the client is starting, or I rip off all my cables and go over to the next meeting room, it goes automatically in fail-safe offline mode and say, okay, so I can't sync, but you can start with the old configuration if you want to. So that makes it easy also if you are working from home. Many of our customers have roughly 6 to 7 gigabytes of data into the synchronization method because it makes it easier if you have all these files on your local machine. Hard drives aren't that are not cheap, are the other thing, aren't that expensive anymore. So it makes sense to invest a little bit in a better hard drive and don't pull everything from a UNC path every time that you want to start up. So that makes it slow in a startup, and everyone hates it to have a slow startup. Also, that we know Creo never crashing, but in standard case that happens much too often. Okay, so let's start a Creo. So the thing that we simply want to do with it. So it's a double click, it's waiting to start the Creo, and at the Creo starting up, I can start the next thing. Need some seconds because I'm in a VPN. They're coming up, and there it is. So in the background, it now has checked every license. Before it started to start up, it checked everything that it should start, or what is the background possibility. I have activated debug mode. I need to deactivate that. That's the thing on a live demo. So here's a config utility too that I can activate as an administrator, and then I can go here and deactivate the debug mode. I don't want that. It makes everything slow. Okay, save it, close it, restart it, click. Okay, looks better. Now it's much faster. Okay, so now we have started Creo. So that was easy for the user, not for the administrator, because the administrator needs to put everything into it. But for the user later, it's just simply, it comes up every day simply with the start of the machine. After the start of machine, it is there and it automatically synchronizes with the server if it's possible. If it's not possible, it tries again after 10 minutes. If it's possible, it can pause for like 2 hours if you want to, or you say, no, I want to check it every 10 minutes too. So it is freely configurable how often it should ask for synchronization. It synchronizes everything down. And as a user, I simply double click on whatever I want to do. It's starting up. As George have mentioned, we here have now a library inside of that. So why do we have a library if we have Windchill? That's a good question. Because we are much, much faster if we have a local synchronized library that can automatically synchronize with Windchill. So everything that gets created in Windchill, like preview pictures, stuff like that, can be synchronized down into a much smaller database because we only synchronize standard parts, it's like library parts. We don't want to synchronize complete project paths because it's much too many data. And mostly, if I jump between different projects, I need a small bunch of data from my libraries and can reuse that on a fast scale. So if I go over here to startup tools and check, we have something like 36,000 files at the moment. inside of that. And if I look here for screw, I simply can type in screw. I search for 1.6 times 4. So I can simply type it in. And because it's so fast, I can hit return, 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 enter, enter, and it filters down here. So it's like 26 hits right now. Oh, it should be a hexagon screw, hexagon screw. Yeah, cool. And then I simply can click on that. I can build it in. Or I can do right mouse button and add it to my favorites. So if I need it more often, I can have a user-based favorite list that is only for me as a user, because I now know, okay, I need that like 20 times right now. I need this screw and the UDF for the hole and the nut for it. So if I need that more often, it makes sense to put it here. Also, if we have this possibility, let me go to the example library again. So if we have something like this, okay, I'm connected with Windchill, so it needs a little bit of time until it checks it. Okay, great. Then I have also the possibility to use things like drag and drop from here. So I can say, okay, use a drag and drop directly from the library into my thing. If there is an interface, then it automatically connects to the interface and gets built in. If there's no interface, so I can also put it here. Oh, I need to end that. I can't pull it if it's not possible, but okay. Then it simply go to the standard and I now can build it in like a standard part. So like everything. But sometimes I don't like that. Sometimes I want to get more things, so I can use right mouse button. Open simplified representation, copy the file automatically in a Creo copy state. So there I can also put in a copy configuration, a copy list. Sometimes I not only want to copy a file, especially if I have a family table or a sheet metal part or a part that is an assembly. It could be that I have multiple files in the background that I want to copy every time with it. So in this case, I can define a copy template in the background, and then it automatically copies all the files, and I can also define the naming, how it should be named. For this, there's an editor. Like in every of our tools, there's a graphical editor because it makes it much easier to work on that. And I can go in. So let us look for the nut. I don't for the bolt. I don't know where it is. Am I in the right library? I'm in the right example data. Yes, that things didn't named bolt. Credin something. Okay, some of my colleagues have renamed it. Credin 660, something like that. There it is. Great. And then I can go into it and say, okay, I want to get a model list for copy purpose, and can only copy this, or I can add multiple more files, and then I can create a rule where I say, okay, it should be a new number and the old name should be behind that, or it should be only a number. So if I work with Windchill, most of the names are only numbers. Should the number be copied over to the common name? Shouldn't it? Should there some drawings that get the same number or get their own number and all these kind of stuff, I can define into here, into this, and afterwards is possible to use it. I've got some more things that makes it easy to use. Like if I look inside a screw, I have directly the possibility to filter down here for different variants. I get a new picture here that I can put there. That is an administrative work to create this picture one time, but it makes it much easier to define things and to choose from it by different columns directly out of the family table, but without loading the file. So if you are doing the same inside of Creo, you simply need to download the generic and use a generic to get all this information. Then you can have very similar possibilities. In this case, we can do it without directly downloading it. At the moment I have chosen one and I want to open or insert it, sure, then it needs to be downloaded. It gets added automatically, this one only and the generic, and afterwards I can build it in. So after it's added to my workspace. We have many more things into it, like you have also support for note texts or symbols and all that kind of stuff. So it's not only parts, drawings, and assemblies. It's also notes that I can directly bring in, or drawing tables, report tables, UDF support, and we got something that calls forms. So what is forms? Forms is short for formula, or where you can put in things directly, is this one. So I open it, I get this formula to create a new sheet metal angle, and I can directly say, oh, here I want to get a bigger width. The width should be 60, and the bend angle should be 100. That is the material, that is okay. If I want to get the holes, or if I don't want to get the holes, and then I say, okay, create it. So now it loads the template in the background. It looks, okay, is there a drawing on that? How is the naming defined? I click on OK, and it creates now, I don't want that right now, it creates now the sheet metal angle directly to my specifications. But as every time, I make a typo into it. So I simply can reuse that, reopen the same formula, change it directly here, say, oh, width should be 50, and say, okay, it should be, renew it on the part. That is not only good for things like the first creation, that is directly saved in the external data of the model. So it has every time the same version as a part has inside of my windshield system or my ERP system, like an SAP. So I can simply reload this thing from that a colleague have built up, and he can give me the most important values that should be changeable in an easy list that I now can use to change all these values directly on the part. And I don't need to look inside of the configuration, inside of more informations that are somewhere around, or inside of the windshield where someone explained to me, okay, yeah, I have put everything into the parameters, so you need to go to the parameters, go down the complete list, and there at the bottom, you need to change these two parameters, but they are restricted. I don't know what I have done there, but simply try and figure it out. Everything else you can read out of the relations of the part. Yay, great. I love that. In this case, you get a graphical interface where you can simply type it in. The build up of the graphical interface is very, very easy. So if you have a new part, simply create a new one. I make it the most complex part I can do. That is a cube. So that's why I'm a programmer and not a CAD user. Oh. So it's a cube. Okay, so let us make a formula for this for colleagues. So I simply click on forms and open it. Here's no icon at the moment because there's no forms saved inside of this model. Then I go to the editor. Like I say, everything has a graphical editor. Say, okay, I want to change the height and I want to change the width. Name this width, name this height. Save and close. Okay, I have created my first formula, my first forms. And now I can use that to change everything I want. Sometimes I want to get it a little bit easier to use. So I say, okay, yeah, but we have standards, so please use that. So I can create a value table here and put these dimensions or parameters or suppressions inside a list. It's a little bit like a family table, but with much more possibilities. So I add the D0 and the D1 and create some, and I make one that is small, medium, and big. And we say it's 100 times 100, 200 times 100, and 900 times 100. 900 times 50. Looks bigger. Okay, save that. Afterwards, I simply can define here, can go through it, and every time I click on save and regenerate, it automatically saves and regenerates it. Okay, so that's easy too. Next things could be that I need some more rules. I can put that by JavaScript rules. So I have the possibility with JavaScript to give it more information. I can directly connect it between each other. I have also possibility to get that by the import from a really at the moment existing CSV file, and we can also export into the CSV file. So that makes it much easier to change these files, to get all these informations ready, and to reuse them if we want to. we can also use these change here inside of this. So I can also say here, load from an XML or load from a CSV, can define the loading structure and automatically insert that to all these automatic connector points, where I would name that. So if I have an external tool that is like a configurator, people can click things together, can give me the values, I directly can read in these values here, click on save, and it automatically transfer that to my model and rebuild it. So that makes it easy to use. It can also use in assemblies. So if I not only want to change the assembly, but also want to change sub-assemblies and parts, also this is possible. So if I'm into an assembly, I have a little bit more possibilities here to choose from, and I can also select dimensions from sub-assemblies or from built-in parts, all that kind of stuff. Model parameters, feature parameters, all that. You can build in some separators if you want to. At the end, I can show a very good example from a colleague of mine that they have built up with it. That is really nice to look on. But we need to look on the time, so I will show it at the end. Okay, so we have seen forms and we have seen library. We have the same like forms also for UDFs. So if you are working with UDFs, here's also the same thing as forms for UDFs. So you can build in an easy solution to build it in. Simply define it, get here your different references that you need to define. And what is good on this is that you can reuse it. Oh, let us reopen the part so I can show that. Open in session. It is this one. Okay, delete that. I want to recreate it with an UDF. Perfect. So I go over here and there's a UDF library on that. So sometimes I want to create something like a gear. So I simply click here and I've got face plane. I can give a lot of more information about it, what I need. And then I simply can click here to build it in. Create new UDF with given references. If I have already selected that, if I not have selected that, he asked me for it. Okay, so that is the standard. I know how to create it. But now afterwards, after it have created the UDF, I can simply change it. Like number of teeth is 20. I think there should be something like shown teeth. I don't know if it's this one. Simply change it, save it. No, that wasn't the right one. 5. Something should be shown teeth. Number of teeth with helix. Angle, number of displayed teeth. Here it is. Okay, 20. So looks better for gear. Great. So now I have finished it. I close it and I check this into my windshield. My colleagues open it and he sees up here, oh, there's a formula on that, but there's also an UDF form on that. Great. I click on the UDF form. I click on the UDF and it automatically comes up with the same values into it. So he can say, yes, that's right, but I don't want to have it like that. I want to got the number of teeth like 25. So I can simply hire that up, save it, and I've got the hired up number into it. Also here in the background, you can use JavaScript, you can use all the different possibilities that you have in the standard. And also here you get a complete graphical editor to create these formulas, these UIs, and to use it. So that makes it easier to use than to write XML files. Okay. What do we have now? We've got parameters. So that is the thing that pops up sometimes while I have shown you, because on my machine I have defined it to pop up every time I create a file. So most people inside of every company hates to fill up parameters because they have to. There's a model check that flickers up and say, oh, I don't want that. You can't check it in. People hate to fill up parameters. But on the other side, people love filled up parameters because then they find the files again inside of their Windows system or SAP, or they can connect to something and automations can work. So they love filled up parameters, but they don't want to fill it up themselves. So that's the best thing would be an automation for that. Okay, that is the thing inside of Genius Tools parameter. You can't automate everything. It's not possible. Sometimes they need to make a decision how to do this. So I open this, it automatically opens for the right model. I've got a description here. We've got a description here. I can click on that and I now have the possibility to directly choose. I don't need to type it in. I know only the English one. I click it and it automatically fills up the German one too. So that makes it easy. Also, this was a mandatory parameter. I don't know who have seen that there was a red exclamation mark here. Here's a red exclamation mark too. If I click on the life cycle, oh, here, something is wrong with that. There's a rule behind it, and I need to fill out the date right. But I don't want to type it in myself. I simply can click up here and fill in the current date into it. I have some mandatory fields here that I need to fill up. I can fill it up manually, sure, but I can also say, okay, fill it up automatically, and it fills it up automatically. Now all mandatory things are filled up. I click on save and get a big green bar down here that say, yeah, you have done everything right. You have filled up all mandatory parameters. You're great. Now you're allowed to work here. I can go over to properties. And also then sometimes we have lists that needed to be known to fill up special informations, like for coding code. There's a ISO standard, that's the 4042, and that explains how a coding code, which would be built up, and what that mean. What is the chemical element, the thickness? But the coding code is not like you look on that and think, oh yeah, that's it. It is strange thing based on some numbers and some characters, and yeah, okay. So to make it easier, we have here the possibility to build in lists. All that is completely generic, so you don't need to have these parameter, you don't need to have this list, but for an example, we use this. So I choose a chemical element like tin, then I got the coating thickness like 50 micrometers and shining olive, and it automatically creates a coding code. Only the coding code is saved down to the real Creo parameter. All the other things gets built up automatically based on the coding code down here. So I can click here, see, okay, which are the active filters that now builds up this one. If I now save, it automatically reloads again and it's fixed into it. If I want to change it here to 25, it automatically changed down here. I click on save and it's into it. Also the same for RAL codes. No one knows the RAL code. Could be the most 4 used ones or the most 5 used ones, but not all. And so I can simply click on that and get the information up here, what it would be. Hardness, value, and type. I simply can choose from list. I don't need to know all these things. I can choose from list, and that makes it much easier for the people to use. And also these parameter standards, or the standard parameters that should be used, are different between different types of units, between different types of parts that are creating. So if I have a standard part or a part that should be used in a medical environment, I have different standard parameters that need to be filled up. So I can create multiple of these definitions and save it here as simple files. There's an editor for this. And afterwards, I can choose it here. It automatically fills up a standard parameter inside of my Creo parameters. And at the next startup, it comes up with the same definition. So I don't have to change that. I don't have to know which is the right definition for this part. It tries to choose that automatically. So if it's a sheet metal part or something like that, I know that I can choose it automatically. But if that is a part that you have created or you are creating right now, I don't know what is the speciality of this part. So you need to choose it once, and afterwards it gets shown here automatically. That makes it easier. Okay, save and close. Then we've got a material selector. Materials are a thing that are a little bit difficult. So you've got them here over in the model tree. You got these PTS system material properties, starting with, let me lie, I think it's Creo 7 with the bodies. So sure, you've got many of these differences, but also then if you only say, yeah, but I only use standard materials. All our bodies, if we are working with bodies, have every time the same standard material. Okay, that's totally fair. Then you don't need this view, but you have materials that gets older. And this one could also check based on a material parameter that you can define, can check automatically if your materials are old and not on the current state. And then you've got an update button here, update all materials, and all automatically run through it, updates all the material to the current or to the latest material version, and therefore it's up to date. Materials get every time saved into the model, so if you change anything on the materials, they would never be automatically updated into the models. This one would do that. You can also configure that it shows up here automatically at the moment that a material gets too old and should be reworked or replaced. We've got multibody to assembly, because if you want to make an explosion out of a multibody part, that is sometimes difficult. You can use this to create an assembly out of your multibody part and use that. If you aren't working with Windchill, then you have mostly multiple working directories next to each other. So we've got a workday manager where it simply checks everything on your working directory that you have opened in the last time and automatically creates this list, so you can simply change to a different working directory by a single click. That makes it easier. It automatically populates, fills up. You can rename it, right mouse button, edit the command. Great. We've got full backup if you need backups, and many utilities like show a pitch or feature regeneration profiler. If you're not on Creo 11, then sometimes it's only like 2 or 3 features that makes it very slow that your part is regenerating. Then you can use feature regeneration profiler and check which of the features are the faulty ones and which of them needs most of the time of the regeneration of your part. So in Creo 11, it's much better. It's from PTC directly into it, so don't get me wrong. But before Creo 11, it could be a good idea to have this possibility too. So we will remove that as soon as we get to Creo 11 as lowest supported version. Then this one gets out because PTC have it in. And then we have many small tools like Genius Tools Points, where you automatically can export point matrices. We got surface by color. So sometimes if you have parts that gets brightly colored, the colors have a meaning behind them. You simply can click here and select the surfaces by color. In this one, there are only uncolored surfaces. And so I can select that. It automatically calculates the area on the background and show me everything that I need to know about this area. We've got a quick access. That is also interesting. It is in all of these tools that Georg has shown. So quick access is this one. It's a small comma rows, and that makes it easy to use map keys. So I love it. I use it often a day. There's also an editor for that. I can make some of these rows be able to be edited by the user. Some of them should be edited by the admin. I've got a tooltip from them so that I know what it's doing. I can click on open file or whatever, and it automatically sets a type. I can put in every map key that I want to put in to make it easy. So like the record of a map key. So normally I need to search for a map key here and then click on new and then decide which I want to name it. And afterwards I need to save it. In this case, I have a map key for that to create a map key. So I simply click on that. It goes to record map key. I go to record whatever I want. Stop that, click on OK, click on close, click on yes. I don't need to do that. I can also let it open. And then I click here to, okay, save changed map keys and open with Notepad, and then the map key gets automatically opened in Notepad. So that makes it easy to copy it out and to reuse it. Also, I can use variables inside of that. So I can show that best case. Oh, let us do this as an admin here.
You must have come to the end. We have 5 minutes left.
Oh, I should speak faster. Yes, I get
No,
that.
you're fast enough. We have too much functions here inside. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. But as the easiest thing would be, if you're interested in one of these, simply go over to Tristar, ask them, and I think Nick would manage that. You get an easy walkthrough and an easy deep dive into the special modules you are interested in, that makes it easier. Back to the quick access editor, one last second. You can use variables inside of that, like environment variables here, or the current date, or the current model path, or the current model name. So it is great for if you're exporting a PDF to have the model name into it, but most often I also want to get the PDM revision into it. So I can directly write it into it, PDM revision, and then afterwards, if I use this map key, it would automatically replace with the variable in the background. So I get the current PDM revision of the part directly printed to the name of the PDF. And that makes it easy to use, so people like to use it.
Okay.
Yeah, we have lots more of functionality inside of drawings. So here's also stuff like Genius Tools Inspect if you want to do inspection symbols, or if you want to create tolerance tables and stuff like that. Simply click on that, create a tolerance table here. So it's mostly smaller tools. Inspect is a little bit bigger. We got the same also for or not the same. We got the same for in 3D. So if you want to place inspect symbols in 3D, but that's in another topic. And we got also the possibility to create BOM information. It's called Genius Tools Assembly, directly based on the current assembly that you have opened. So also something that could make your life easier. And in most of these tools, you can build up exports. Then you can also directly use these table to Excel that helps you to export every of these information, like a parameter definition, like the inspect symbol definition, and everything else by a templated export directly to Excel or to a PDF.
So now I have to stop your enthusiasm.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I just take over my screen and want to come to the end. So the end means how can we come together? So your first contact should always be your account manager from Tristar. If you have any questions, please contact him, ask him. And you saw there are a lot of, this was a firework of functionality and benefits and so on. Your account manager doesn't know everything about that. So we have to talk together. This is my offer to you. If you want to have an individual demo for your company, we can do that for you. If you need a test phase, we support that. We give you some advices what you should do within the Genius tools. Talk about the benefit and at least also about the prices. Yeah. So this is my offer to you. But first of all, get in touch with Tristar. Nick will manage that, or you go direct to your account manager. Yeah, that was it so far from our side. Thank you very much. Here from Germany.
Are there any questions?
Thank you, guys. Yeah, if there's any questions, please let us know. There hasn't been any in chat yet, but we have about a minute, 30 seconds, so we could probably do one or two quick ones if anybody's got anything. If not, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Like I said, this presentation will be sent to anyone automatically after it's registered, and then you can go to tristar.com and check out our webinar library. Well, this will be up later this afternoon, as well as our YouTube channel. And then you can also visit tristar.com/events for any upcoming webinars that we are hosting, as well as some of our other partner webinars. And we hope to have more from the guys here at Inneo later this year. If there's any particular topic you'd like to talk about or like to hear about, feel free to reach out to me or to your account manager. And so just stay tuned for that. So yeah, looks like no questions so far. So let's just go ahead and we'll wrap this up and let you guys get on with your day. So thank you very much, George and Ika. I appreciate your time here and everything. And this has been great.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Have a nice day.
Bye-bye.